Hello, today I'm going to be showing you a scoring guide for the arranged boost mode of Crimzon Clover with the Type 1 ship. We start off in stage 1 where I'm going to be playing very aggressively to upgrade my ship as fast as possible, starting off with the Lock +6 upgrade. I want to maximize my lock-ons in the beginning so that I can then maximize the multipliers that I get before I go into break mode. Here I'm point blanking as many ships as possible, and I'm even shooting the bigger ships before they open up to get some extra points in. Here now I have max lock-ons, but I don't activate break mode yet because I want to get at least one option upgrade before I get the break mode activation. The goal is to have the 12.8 multiplier available to me before the rush comes so that I can maximize the points I earn from the rush. So I have it here, I get the lock on 12.8 multiplier, and then I head over to the top of the screen because I want to minimize the amount of suicide bullets that I get from destroying the enemies. I strafe back and forth to grab as many medals as I can, paying attention to the upgrade bar so that I can upgrade my ship while I destroy all these enemies. By the time the rush ends, I should be at max rank, which I am here. These two ships pop up if you destroy all the enemies in the rush fast enough, and I take advantage of that to then get the 25.6 multiplier here. I'm now paying attention to the upgrade bar again because I want to get the homing upgrade. And then now it's just mopping up all the rest of the enemies before the boss comes, taking care not to get hit. By the time the first boss arrives, you'll see that my ship is fully upgraded, so I'm in a really good position for the boss. And the goal now is to take care of the two side turrets and to ideally destroy them with a full lock-on to get the 25.6 multiplier. So there's one turret down, that's on the left, so now I'm going to focus on the right. There's the right one. Now when you destroy both of the turrets, the firing becomes a little bit aggressive, so sometimes with the way the tank is positioned, you can get pot-shotted. Usually if you lose your shield and you break your chain during this first stage, it's a reset, so completing the stage with the 9 bonus chain is ideal here. And so now we're heading into stage 2. I immediately start firing because you can squeeze out a few extra points in the very beginning without destroying any enemies. And then I hold the lock on and tap dodge all the way to the right to try to get as much of a multiplier as possible. I get 22.4 here. Ideally I get 25.6, but the timing is very strict. I then hang out towards the middle of the screen just to minimize the suicide bullets. I destroy the bigger tank here, and then I strafe back and forth. This is just memorizing when those bigger ships are going to come out to prevent the bullets from firing at you. Now I have the max multiplier here, and I want to hold this multiplier as long as possible, strafing back and forth to avoid the pink bullets that will inevitably come at you. And so now the multipliers should be going away by the time I hit the lava, so I still have a little bit of it left. And when these tanks roll by, I stop firing because I want to again get as big of a lock on as I possibly can, so times 24 is pretty good here. And now the goal is to just grab as many medals as I can to keep that timer going. Here you can see that I have a 17 bonus chain. The bullets are coming kind of fast, so I get tagged, I lose my shield, but that's okay. We're hitting up to the carts. The carts, you don't want to destroy them right away because they release the mines that then can be converted into more bigger medals to really ramp up the points that you earn. And so we have the next set of carts. I get the lock on and I stagger my fires until the mines come out, and then I fire. Here's another big ship where I just use my homing options to really take care of them, and I go as slow as possible to avoid the bullets. Here's the last set of carts. And I don't fire until those mines come in, and look at all those metals shower down. So lots and lots of points here. Very good. I ended up with 1.8 billion before the boss here, which is a pretty good position. I would have liked to have 2 billion, but not too shabby. Coming up on the second boss, the way to maximize your score on this boss is to destroy as many parts as possible with the full lock-on. So at some point you'll see me firing my lock-on shot, and then I'll stop firing my main shot so that I can destroy as many parts with the times 25.6 multiplier. I didn't get the full multiplier for destroying the first phase there, but that's okay. Ultimately, the goal is to not break my shield. The more my chain builds, the more you get points you get for your bonus. And those bonuses do add up over time. Here I'm tap dodging to avoid this pattern, which is not too bad. I do get the full lock on for that phase, which is good. And now here I'm paying attention to the square pattern in the middle, so I dodge a little bit too quickly and I lose my shield, but that's alright. If you do lose your shield, ooh, I squeaked by there, so I almost didn't make it. And then I got the full lock on for destroying the boss. That's very important because as the boss blows up, you get extra medals. And so far I'm no miss stage 1 and 2, so I'm in a good position here. I don't have my shield, but I'm not too worried. Now in stage 3, similar to stage 2, I start off by holding my lock-on shot so I can destroy as many enemies as possible and start it off with the max multiplier. Once that last metal falls, I stop firing again, and I again destroy these enemies to get the full multiplier. It also allows me to avoid all the suicide bullets that come at me. Now here I go to the very top of the screen and I go back and forth to avoid these ships from firing at me, and by killing them this way I also avoid the revenge bullets. It's a bit risky though. Sometimes those ships will move a bit too far up and it'll hit you, so you kind of have to pay attention and move downward if you need to. But here it's all about holding that multiplier as long as possible. Even if you don't get the times 25, that's alright. Holding any multiplier is better than none. And of course, not losing your shield and not breaking your chain is of course ideal. I strafe back and forth here so that those insects don't take pot shots at me. And now we're here at the first mid-boss. I follow that lane upwards to the left. It's a pretty easy lane to follow. And then here I just stay in position between the lasers and time my lock-on so that I get that multiplier. And now here I fire the lock-on as fast as possible. And then depending on your boost meter, this pattern can be fairly quickly, or can move fairly quickly. I did a pretty good job there. I got a times 12 multiplier, so I want to lock on to get a max multiplier here for the next rush in the stage. And then here I move between the gaps of the revenge bullets so that I don't get walled off. It's very easy to get walled off here. And then here, so I got walled off there. That's alright. I still had the multiplier, and I should get it back by the time I destroy this ship. And I go back into break mode as soon as possible. The extra firepower will definitely help me here. So I have a times 14, but I want the times 25. So I get a times 22. And I'll hold it as long as possible until the next opportunity for a max multiplier is this big flower here. So 24.8 is pretty good. These dragonflies are an excellent source of points. When you destroy them, they create a bunch of medals for you to collect, so it's important to collect as many as possible. And then now, from here until the end of the stage, if I have the max multiplier, it's all about surviving. So dodging the bullets, weaving back and forth, finding the gaps. And avoiding breaking my shield as much as possible. There I do lose my shield, but that's alright, I still have my multiplier. And now the goal is to get back into break mode as soon as possible before the third boss, which I do. I almost got tagged there, but because I destroyed that ship, I got the bullet cancel, so I avoided getting hit here. Here I take advantage of a safe spot during this first pattern. I line up the core of my ship with the E in speed on the upgrade bar below. And here I can just sit while this pattern goes and let my homing options do the work. The next safe spot is just to the left of that tick mark, or right on that tick mark on the upgrade bar. You can sit there, and then now so the flush messed me up there, so I lost track of where that pattern was, and I got tagged and lost my shield, but that's okay. I have my break mode activated right away, and now I do these cutbacks to avoid this pattern. I make sure to cut back so that I don't have a magenta bullet in the way. It makes things easier. I activate my shield just to give myself a little bit more insurance, and then now it's a merry-go-round phase where I'm not firing because I want to destroy as many of those petals as possible, but I want to destroy them when I'm below the boss so that I can collect the medals that rain down. Ooh, so I got a couple of those there, but I didn't want to go all the way to get that third medal, or else I would have gotten hit there. And then now it's just avoiding those bullets and cutting back while also getting those medals. So it's a bit riskier this way, but that's how you can maximize the score here. So I'm doing pretty well. On the last phase of the boss, the goal is to get the full lock on, and then when you do, to hold that lock on and just let the homing options take care of the boss until you can release the lock and attack and get the full multiplier for destroying the boss, which I do here. And so far I have no missed the first two stages, so I'm in a good position. I'm at 6.1 billion, so I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now. On to stage 4 with 42 bonus chains, so the bullets will be getting a bit faster. But I do have my shield, so if I do get tagged, it'll slow things down a bit. The start of the stage, I go to the top right corner and slowly go down to get as big of a lock on as possible, and then I head to the right to destroy all those enemies that'll come in here. Then I head down to the left hand corner and I creep along the bottom of the screen as long as possible until the enemies finish so that I can avoid those revenge bullets. And I almost made it. Lost my shield though, that's okay. Here I destroy these enemies as fast as possible because I really want to get my break mode back before the destroyers come, but that's alright if they don't. So I got my break mode and I use the invulnerability to position myself so that I can get a max multiplier and then creep along the screen because the revenge bullets will be coming in soon. Here they are. And then just go back and forth, and I find little gaps so I can position myself and give myself more space on the screen to avoid the bullets. So I lose another shield there, but that's alright. I haven't died yet, so that's good. I definitely don't want to die because then I'll lose all the upgrades to my ship. Well, not all of them. Some of them. For this boss, to just follow the lane of the magenta bullets all the way up. There I just wanted to destroy the boss, so I wasn't concerned about getting a full lock on there. Here's the next mid-boss. Hang out to the side here, avoid the blue bullets, and I just let the options take care of that middle turret. Get the full lock on there, and then these two turrets. So ideally you would destroy each individual floating turret and then the main boss. Here, since I had the homing options, it's a bit tougher to aim that way, but I do try to follow them and I get a lock on this, so I do destroy both of them. The best case scenario is you destroy them all in sequence with the max multiplier and get maximum points there. Here we have the cat's eye. Here I'm just mainly concerned for survival. I do activate full lock-on shot, so in case I do get a 25 multiplier here, which I do, the best case is for you to destroy each of those when they're right above you, that way the metals rain down on you. But if you happen to not do so, it's okay. Just the key here is to not get hit. Here we go with the second rush. This is what I consider the preparation for the boss. At some point in the gap during this rush, I need to switch to targeted sight and switch to the regular formation. Doing so does make things harder during this part, since the bigger ships it'll be harder to target them. So I get tagged here, but I do get my targeted sight. The next thing to do is to switch to my regular formation at some point. Having the homing options makes things a lot easier for me. Whew, I barely squeaked by here, and then I got my homing sight, and then these revenge bullets are really, really nasty. They'll wall you off, and yeah, if you're not starting that part in the very corner, then they will probably wall you off right away. Fourth boss coming, I aim for the leftmost turret, 2 quick lock-ons, and a delayed third takes care of it. And then a fourth lock-on, maybe a fifth will take care of the turret to the right of that. Now I have a times 25 multiplier. I'm really in a really good position here, and I'm not going to use any lock-on shots at all. I'm just going to hold the regular shot and dodge this pattern, and you'll notice that as I head to the right of that ship, it'll fire missiles that I will get additional points for, and it'll increase the timer of that multiplier. And I'm just holding on the regular shot, destroying the missiles that the boss is firing at me, and now I take care of that left turret, and then the right one, and then I just well, I get tagged there. I destroyed the leftmost turret a bit too many times, so it fired off those nasty blue patterns. Here's where you can milk the boss. The goal is to get into a rhythm and destroy each turret so that you only have one on the screen firing at you at a time. I do an extra risky step here where I delay the lock-on attack for the second turret so that the turret that I destroy fires off that blue pattern so I can get an additional bullet cancel. Depending on your bonus meter, this is very risky. You can see how fast the bullets come, so you have to kind of know where the ship is at without looking at it, and just pay attention to your ship and the bullets that are near it. That way you can react accordingly. But you can see it's a very slight delay that I'm doing between each so that I can try to get those bullet cancels with those blue patterns. So far so good. I almost get hit there, so you have to dodge out of the way extra if you need to. But that was a very good second phase, so I'm quite happy with how it turned out. Now for this part, I'm hanging out just underneath the wing to avoid the mines that are firing. If you destroy those mines too far away, they'll send off bullets firing at you that can get very difficult to dodge. Here I am moving as slow as possible between this pattern, and then now I could destroy the wings if I wanted to, but at this point I just wanted to destroy the boss, so I switched to the homing formation to prepare for stage 5 and take care of the boss. I was also able to switch out of the targeted sight, which will help me in the beginning of stage 5 as well. So I have a full set of extents for stage 5. I'm in a good position. I feel pretty good with the resources I have to, in case I die with the final boss patterns, which can get pretty nasty. Starting stage 5, I go to the left hand corner here just to squeeze out some more points by destroying the tanks, and then I hang to the back because I want to lock on and get as big of a lock on to start the level as possible, so 18.4 is pretty good. And now I hang out towards the top to destroy those ships before they fire at me, especially destroying the turrets, since turrets tend to wall you off. And so I strafe back and forth, collecting the metals while I destroy them. The bullets can come to me quite quickly, especially in break mode, so I lose my shield there, but that's okay. And be careful while you're strafing back and forth. Sometimes those big tanks will surprise you and they'll fire where you're going. But so far so good. At a certain point before the first rush, I will need to switch to the formation, regular formation. And having a times 25 multiplier for this part is very good. So I switched to the formation just in time for when these ships come up, and I will not use my lock-on shot as much because I want to destroy as many of those missiles as possible. And you can see the timer for my multiplier maxing out at 999. That is very good for this rush. Now that multiplier is, I have a timer for that multiplier, I just aim to survive. The more enemies I kill, there's going to be so many of them that the timer will not go down as long as I don't get tagged or as long as I don't die. So here you can see my timer is maxed out again. I have a homing shot. I am tap dodging between the revenge bullets. I lose my shield there, but that's okay because I can go right back into break mode. My timer for the multiplier is almost maxed out again, so now I just destroy these enemies as fast as possible. And the goal is to end this section with my timer at around 700 so that I'd be in a good position to milk the mid-boss. That is pretty tough to do. I don't think I do it here. But I do get fairly close. So yeah, I ended the section with my timer at around 500, so the timer will run out by the time the boss shows up. Ideally, I would have the timer or the multiplier still active by the end of this pattern so that I can milk the missiles that come out. I'm still going to milk them anyways because I have the formation ready. And the way you do it, you just tap dodge these missiles, and the great thing about the Type 1 ship is that its shot is wide enough that you don't have to worry about getting hit by any of those missiles as long as you don't activate your lock-on shot. For this part, each missile on the tank alternates firing two streams of bullets. So you just go back and forth, so you don't have to dodge too far. And then here for the boss, I can milk these missiles again, which I do. This boss allows you to do it twice before the third volley doesn't even fire missiles. I get a little too hasty with my cutback, so I lose my shield there, which is not so good. I did want to have my shield and my break mode for this portion. But I do have my homing shot, which is very good for this second rush. Coming up in the second rush, we have these spider tanks coming up from below you. The goal is to destroy as many of them as possible. I think if you destroy them fast enough, you can get up to 3 of them. So I'm in break mode, I have my homing shot, so Type 1 is very, very good in this situation if you have a fully upgraded ship. And now I have my shield, although I'm busy destroying the boss, so I missed the opportunity to activate my shield, but that's okay. So here comes a third tank from below me, and you can see I'm just melting him with my homing shot and the lasers. Yeah, the tank does not stand a chance, so I have my shield. I am fully upgraded again, and now I have these ships again with the missiles. Here I'm not too concerned about switching to my regular formation to milk those missiles. The patterns are a little bit denser here, and we're going to have turrets up on the top that are also going to try to wall me off, so I don't want to lose my shield that way. I do switch to my targeted sight because I want to focus my fire on the little mini stage 3 bosses that are going to appear on the sides here. I don't want them to wall me off like they are doing here, so I want to destroy them as fast as possible, and having the targeted sight lets me do that. When I'm not targeting them, I am essentially doing as many lock-ons as possible. And here again, I just focus, and you can see how quickly I destroy it. I lose my shield, but that's okay. I can get it again. And I am weaving back and forth and finding the gaps, activating break mode to take advantage of my invulnerability. Here I'm a little bit more concerned with survival rather than gathering medals, so I try to get as many medals as I can here, but I'm not focused on grabbing medals. Instead, I just really want to destroy, as many enemies as possible without dying. So far I've no missed up until the final boss, which is good. The final boss usually tends to give me problems with some of the nastier patterns, so I always like to have as many extents as possible, and you'll see that I will start to lose my lives here. These little mini turrets, I like to destroy them as fast as possible because they'll try to wall you off and corner you. And having the targeted sight helps eliminate them quickly. Eventually I will want to switch out of this targeted sight. Alright, so now for the first boss, or final boss here. We macro dodge these magenta bullets back and forth. And then for this part always, I can never dodge this pattern, but you have to squeak through the blue bullets and then also avoid the pink magenta ones, which for some reason that pattern always gets me. Definitely something I need to practice. Second phase, I want to stay as close to the boss as I'm comfortable doing so that I can avoid those side bullets. The rank is low, so I don't have the harder version of this, which I'm thankful for. Especially the harder version of this, which now my rank is increased. These bullets, it seems like you have to dodge them by reaction. There's no way to really predict where they're going to end up, so you just dodge back and forth by reaction and just take your time there. The next phase has the boss floating back and forth, firing lasers down at you, and then when you destroy the mini turrets, they fire revenge bullets at you. It's best to destroy all of the turrets with a single lock-in at once so you have all the revenge bullets converging at once. It's easier to dodge it that way. And then I'm going to get break mode. Well, I don't think I activate break mode here, actually. Yeah, here I do. Just to get the extra firepower, which definitely helps. I lose another life here right when I destroy that phase, which is very unfortunate. Having too little speed at this point in the fight can actually be detrimental. You want to be able to move fast enough to go underneath this boss. Type 1 is at a disadvantage here, especially if you've died quite a bit because your speed gets degraded too much. Right now I am fast enough, so I'm not too concerned, but that's something to take into consideration. And then I switch to the targeted sight, which will help me with the TLB. And here I'm just trying to squeak out as much damage as possible. I almost get hit there. And so now I'm in a good position. I have 6 extends, so I'm fairly confident I will squeak by this final fight. With the targeted sight, it's very useful even if you're not in break mode because it allows you to do pretty good damage. And you'll see here with the lock-on shot, especially the type 1 lock-on shot, it's very powerful. This pattern is fairly random and I get cornered there. But I'm not going to activate break mode yet. This pattern, since the rank is low, I get the easier version, but the goal is to misdirect the boss and kind of move out of the way at the last minute. I activate break mode because I knew I was going to get hit there, so I wanted to be invulnerable. I timed it on purpose. For this one, you're going to follow the boss's rhythm and move to the side as the boss fires. I mistimed it there. So it's moving side to side, And then here, I try to get above the boss, which is the best position to get, but since the type 1 speed is too slow, I get hit there. And so now I'm in a pretty tough spot. I've died quite a few times, so I've lost a lot of my upgrades. But the rank is low enough so the bullet speed has slowed down a bit for me to kind of catch up. So second TLB here, I get my targeted sight again just to maximize some damage. And I see that the rank has gone up, has maxed out again. But I'm going to avoid going into break mode here, and then there. Ooh, that is really tight, and I should have gone a little bit higher there. That's alright, so I have 2 extends left, not too worried yet. Here as the boss fires, you go back and forth and macro dodge all of them. Don't worry about getting lock-on shots too much, so that you don't, especially if your ship is slow, because those bullets will tag you. Now we're at the final attack here. The goal here is for me to move as little as possible, and I'm only looking at where the bullets are directly aimed at me. This attack is meant to seem overwhelming to make you move into the wrong position here. And I managed to get a full lock-on to destroy the boss, so I'm going to have a really good amount of medals given to me as the boss blows up. But yeah, I end up with 2 extends, so having that insurance policy of no missing up until the final boss really helped me out there, because especially with the first TLB, I lost a lot of lives with the nasty patterns. I don't get the bonus for having those lives lost, but I'm fairly happy with my score with I ended up 15.1 billion. If you want to go for more of a survival route, then I have a video posted up here of a survival guide for a range boost for type 1. And thank you guys for watching.